Hello and welcome to the 10 Commandments of Effective Lifeguarding, presented by West Bend. The aquatic safety experts at West Bend designed the 10 Commandments of Effective Lifeguarding as a one-stop resource for lifeguards and aquatic directors across the country. You can visit our website at cultureofsafety.com for a more in-depth analysis of each of these commandments. In this clip, we'll be focusing on the 6th lifeguard commandment. A good lifeguard enforces all rules and makes no exceptions. Rules are important. They help direct and manage our day-to-day lives. Rules like raising your hand when you have a question can help keep us orderly and polite. Rules like wearing seatbelts or never texting and driving can help keep us safe. Rules like finishing our vegetables before getting any dessert can help keep us healthy. And other rules like having to shovel the sidewalk after a snowstorm are in place to make sure people do things that they probably wouldn't want to do otherwise. As we're all aware, pools too have rules. Most of these rules are designed to help protect swimmers and make your job as a lifeguard easier. Unfortunately, enforcing all of these rules can sometimes be difficult. Rules like always showering before entering the water, clearing the pool during thunderstorms, and not allowing children to wear floaties can be difficult to enforce because swimmers, and oftentimes lifeguards themselves, don't understand the reason the rule exists in the first place. Then there are rules like no running on the pool deck that will need to be enforced dozens of times each shift simply because swimmers get caught up with excitement. And finally, there are rules like no diving in the shallow end, only bouncing once on the diving board, and no chicken fights or horseplay that will be broken constantly, simply for the fact that some swimmers enjoy breaking the rules. Throughout the rest of this video, we hope to convince you that you absolutely must enforce all rules with all swimmers. And we'll give you some strategies that should make enforcing these rules much easier. Let's start with the first point though. All rules apply to all swimmers. You should never treat one swimmer or a group of swimmers differently than any other. Take this situation for example. If your pool has a no horseplay rule on the books, we think it's pretty clear that this is a blow your whistle kind of moment. And this is probably something you are used to seeing, a couple of teenage kids getting a little carried away. What about this situation though? Would you be as quick to ask this father and his 3 boys to settle down? If you're on the fence on this one, we hope you'll consider the can of worms you may be opening by letting an adult get away with roughhousing. If you let this family carry on, do you think the teen boys you reprimanded just a few minutes earlier will have an appreciation for the importance of following the rules? Probably not. Here's another example you may have run into at your own pool. We hope you've already watched our lifeguard commandment video on breath holding and that your pool has a strict no breath holding policy. If your pool does have a breath holding rule, we're confident that you would blow your whistle as soon as you see a young swimmer like this beginning to hyperventilate before going underwater. But would you be as quick to blow your whistle at one of the strongest swimmers on the swim team? Someone that might even be one of your fellow lifeguards? Again, think about how the young swimmer you reprimanded earlier will perceive this situation. Letting one group of swimmers do something that you won't let another do makes it extremely difficult to convince swimmers that your pool's rules actually are important. And convincing swimmers that rules are important is our best advice for making rule enforcement easier. We have 3 easy-to-remember steps for successfully convincing swimmers that your pool's rules are important. Step 1. You need to know why the rule is important. Take a look at each of your pool's rules and stop and think about exactly why that rule is in place. Why do we clear the pool during a thunderstorm? Why can't swimmers hold their breath? If you can't answer these questions, how are you going to be able to complete Step 2? Convince swimmers the rule is important. You need to recognize, though, there is no one strategy that is going to work for all swimmers. Some people require a more thorough explanation. Let's say, for example, there is one child at your pool that continues to run on the pool deck no matter how many times you blow your whistle. You may need to sit down with this child and explain in very intricate detail all of the horrible things that could possibly happen if they were to fall. And finally, Step 3. As we've already mentioned, you need to be consistent. It doesn't matter how good of an explanation you give to the kid running on the pool deck if you don't also blow your whistle at other children and adults. We hope you now truly recognize the importance of being fair and patient with swimmers when it comes to enforcing your pool's rules. Not only are pools more dangerous when people don't follow the rules, but your job as a lifeguard also becomes more difficult and tedious. From here on out, be fair, be consistent, and uphold your pool's rules. For more information on the 10 Commandments of Effective Lifeguarding, visit West Bend at cultureofsafety.com. We also encourage you to connect with us by searching for Culture of Safety on Facebook and safety_West Bend on Twitter.